So, the Four Noble Truths is the core foundation of Buddhism, offering profound insights into the very nature of human existence. The first Noble Truth states that suffering is inevitable and an inherent part of life itself. The second Noble Truth is that there is causes and conditions of this suffering. The third Noble Truth is that there is an end to the suffering. The fourth Noble Truth is that there is a path that liberates us from the suffering. By decoding the Four Noble Truths, we can have a roadmap to navigate life's challenges and have freedom from suffering and live a life of contentment. So let's explore the Four Noble Truths of the Buddha's teachings and see how these ancient teachings can guide us towards a more meaningful existence and enrich our lives. The first Noble Truth is the truth of suffering, and suffering is referred to as dukkha in Pali, the language of the Buddhist scriptures. It states that human life's inherent feeling of dissatisfaction, discomfort, unpleasantness, and restlessness. The suffering can manifest in physical pain, emotional distress. From the moment we are born until the moment we die, we encounter suffering in many different forms, such as birth, old age, sickness, death, separation from our loved ones, loss of wealth, unhappiness, and dissatisfaction due to all the changes in our lives, due to the impermanence of life itself. A good example can be someone who has a successful business. Even with all the wealth and success, they may suffer from overwhelming stress, strained relationships due to work demands, and constant fear of the failure. So despite all outward achievements, they could be very unhappy and suffering because wealth doesn't necessarily bring us happiness. However, Buddha's teaching was not just to point out about suffering as an inherent fact of life. He also gives us insight into the causes. So this leads us to the second Noble Truth, the truth of the causes of suffering. The Buddha taught that the root cause of suffering is our craving, attachment, and ignorance, the endless desire and attachment to acquiring and possessing, as well as to avoid unpleasant experiences, chains us to this vicious circle of endlessly seeking pleasure and avoiding pain. An example is someone constantly seeking external validation and material possessions. Their attachments and desires lead to a cycle of dissatisfaction as they continually crave for more without finding lasting fulfillment, and they suffer because of this constant craving. But in the midst of this reality, there is hope. The third Noble Truth is the truth of the cessation of suffering. The Buddha taught that it is possible to overcome suffering by eliminating its causes. For example, through cultivating present moment awareness and letting go of these attachments such as craving, desire, ignorance, hatred, greed, and delusion, we can gradually find inner peace and contentment of our mental anguish and suffering. So how do we achieve the cessation of suffering? This brings us to the fourth noble truth, the truth of the path that leads to the cessation of suffering, often called the Noble Eightfold Path. This path consists of 8 interrelated principles. They are right understanding, right intention, right speech, right action, right lifestyle, right effort, right mindfulness, and right meditation, concentration. By cultivating qualities such as these in our thoughts, words, and action, we can progress towards a meaningful and fulfilling existence. So now let's reflect on how these profound insights into the 4 noble truths can guide us towards living a life of purpose. Firstly, by recognizing the truth of suffering, we can develop a greater empathy and compassion towards ourselves and others. Secondly, understanding the origin of sufferings allows us to examine our thought patterns of craving and attachment. By cultivating mindfulness and awareness, we can observe our desires without being consumed by them, leading to greater freedom in our own choices. Thirdly, by embracing the possibility of cessation of suffering, we can cultivate hope and optimism in all the life's challenges. Finally, by committing to the Noble Eightfold Path, we can embark on a journey of personal and spiritual growth. Each step along this path brings us closer to the realization of our full potential and living in alignment with our deepest values and aspiration. So in conclusion, the 4 noble truths offer profound insight into the very nature of human existence, providing us a roadmap for living life with purpose and fulfillment. By acknowledging the reality of suffering, understanding its causes, embracing the possibility of liberation, and following the path towards awakening, we can transcend the limitations of our conditioned existence and experience profound peace and freedom, and embark on life's journey with courage, wisdom, and compassion.